Before I was born, men had already fly above the clouds. When I was in my mother's womb, there was a war between Argentina and UK for some islands. The British nuclear submarine HMS Conqueror sank the Argentine cruiser ARA General Belgrano. All 9 planets aligned on the same side as the sun. 102 days later, I was born in Kawasaki, Kanagawa. Therefore, even though I grew up 99% inside of Tokyo until my 21st year, Kanagawa will remain on my profile forever. When I was 1 year old, my brother was born along with the first Apple Macintosh. My consciousness was blank and white, just listening, smelling, watching in perfect peacefulness. But before I could remember, everybody already called my nickname Yukkun. In one picture, I was holding a huge snake beside the river with my dad. When I was 4, I made a pretty snowman, believing that the world was a perfect place. When I was 5, my mom was special. I thought she knew everything and had a supernatural power to read my mind. At the time, my brother and I had the vital signs of our new brother in her stomach. When I was 6 in February, when people were throwing soybeans to Japanese demo-mask wedding men, I was fascinated by lights. I played with a brilliantly glowing flashlight within the darkness of my blanket. I was told that one day I was gonna burn the house down. In May, when the koinobori, gigantic cup-shaped windsocks were flowing everywhere in my neighborhood, I was impressed by a big painting of koi on my friend's grandpa's back. When I was 7, I believed that I wasn't a human being. When I was 8, the world was a scary place, and my classmates were evil. I cried so that they would stop picking me. I just preferred doodling to sports. When I was 9, I visited a couple of shrines, temples, and churches. I prayed to meet and had a lot of fun with a blue cat-type rover from 22nd century, complete with a bunch of super futuristic toys. When I was 10, my first theatrical stage appearance went very well, and I decided to become a Hollywood star. However, I already had the worst mark in class because I preferred playing in the creek with lots of red crayfish and grasshoppers. I liked climbing my favorite tree and picking figs until the moon popped up, rather than going to my private tuition sessions that took place after school. One day, I was bitten by a poisonous snake and hospitalized for 1 week. I felt special. When I was 11 in the fall, my friends and I gathered colorful dry leaves and had a bonfire where we cooked some golden sweet potatoes. When I was 12, my mates and I roamed around with a pornographic magazine and hid it behind the shrine's building. One friend insisted and didn't believe the fact that we are the result of having sex. When I was 13, eventually I dropped out of math, geography, history, science, Japanese, and English. I just didn't find any importance in any of it. When I was 14, I refused everything, and I started smoking cigarettes. The mates were petty juvenile delinquents, gang members constantly fighting against other groups, smashing stuff that belonged to the school, siphoning gas, stealing motorbikes. They eventually ended up at the police department. I wasn't comfortable getting involved, but I liked painting and modifying bikes. Also spending all night long in park, chatting and laughing at ridiculous stuff. One of my favorite moments was when we used to get a hot cocoa in front of 7-Eleven. In the chilly, humid air of the early morning, we would wait until the school opened. Speaking of the word open, いつも店の前に書いてあるオープンって何って聞いてみんなにバカにされたりした。そして昼の保健室はみんなのたまり場だった。My dad slapped me in the face, and he yelled at me that I'm a mediocre stupid kid because I'm not disposed enough to live to be a professional delinquent like the mafia or yakuza. All my classes were my doodling time, and so my friends and some teachers advised me to become a painter. When I was 15, I had a half of my first sexual experience in the shrine's garden. We didn't finish. When I was 16, I sold my first painting on the street in Kichijoji, where my grandpas lived. There, I showcased my so-called art piece and drank with whoever gathered. Runaway kid, businessman, the retarded yakuza, a political writer, an old hippie with long hair, crazy girls, and my artistic mates until really late. Because it was a tiny house, my grandpa and I shared the same bed. When I came home, I really try not to wake my grandpa up, but he would normally notice my cold feet and warm them up. I love him so much, and also my grandma. She cooked tons of my favorite food in such a passionate way that expressed her love. When I was 17, at the end of summer vacation, my classmate's mother came back home from work and found her only son hanging himself. At the time, I was figuring out the definition of art and trying to innovate a completely new art. Instead, it turned into a garbage and I ended up throwing them out. When the gorgeous Christmas illuminations circled all over Tokyo, I was lost and was going nuts. I wasn't even sure of myself, and on top of that, I broke up terribly with my first girlfriend, so I later told my sex partner that I would never believe in love, and she said she would become a born-again virgin the next year. Yeah, it's actually tiring to keep saying where I was la la la. I just call AY for after you can. AY18, it turned into the 21st century and I went to my childhood playground. The creek, the trees, and even entire hill were substituted for houses. I was so shocked and sad. But then I imagined how many grasshoppers used to live where my house is now located. AY19, the World Trade Center in New York had collapsed by the crashing two airplanes. After the day, I wrote an essay for my film school that the meaning of being a movie maker is like becoming a god. You are able to create everything like one planet made of chocolate cake where pigs dominate and raise completely innocent human beings instead of the sticky shiny silver ocean. Over the sudden, it gets eaten by gigantic baby watermelon and it cuts off and becomes a delightful Venus who loves hip-hop. AY20, I crashed my mom's car. Yet, I was safe. AY21, when there were only candles and car lights illuminating entire city of Toronto because of the northeast blackout, I met a homeless guy who became my first Canadian mate. He told me a way to survive on the street by getting a bunch of free food. After listening all of his stories and dreams such as becoming a millionaire by gathering, rolling and selling cigarette butts, I became to be able to speak English. In the fall, my grandpa passed away from cancer. I cried all over the city. AY22, the world was a colorful place, and I met a bunch of international people. Colombian, Kenyan, Irani, Pakistani, Palestinian, French, Jamaican, Polish, Malaysian, Egyptian, la la la. We shared tons of stuff, and I used to accept everything they gave me without exception with chemical drugs. My homeless friend kept telling me never to try them. Meanwhile, he was injecting himself with a thin extended tube in a washroom.
Right? Yeah. And if you miss any, your arm will swell up like that. But we do what we have to do, man. As undignified and messy and fucking repulsive as it might look to people, the alternative is to fucking lay on the ground sick. Not only lay on the ground sick, but be so depressed you'd like to fucking put a bullet in your brain, eh?
AY23, when the humongous puppets came out among firecracker smoke in front of my Taiwanese apartment, I interviewed for an old gentleman about his youth. He told me that it was a difficult time for the Taiwanese. Even his teachers had to learn Japanese and then Mandarin, depending on who came and ruled the island at the time. But now, it's a part of his nostalgia. AY24, when people decorate with a bunch of skull-shaped chocolate, candies and colorful papers for the Day of Death in Mexico, I was happy hippie with a spiritual side. I had a great deep meditation and I stopped consuming meat. The life without my grandpa made it really hard for my grandma. One day she had a heart attack and her heart was removed again. Because the blood didn't get into her brain for 20 minutes, she got multi-infarct dementia. Now she has much healthier, younger and happier face. In spring I met a girl who had a mole just above her mouth. And also two white kitties. One is called Chisai, somehow adult, but yet innocent character reminded me my grandma. The other called Mimpi has an intelligent and shape gaze just like my grandpa's. They also warmed up my feet. AY25, I felt like the world might end any moment as it had gone towards a mad and violent direction. I found myself in the middle of the desert and had to stay one night with an insane wind. Finally, I was picked up by a truck, and already in the back there was a guy with his son on the way to US. They planned to climb the wall, and all they carried was a plastic bag. After coming back to the city, my girlfriend had taken off her mole. When people gathered in a circle singing and smashing star-shaped piñatas, I realized my wish of having super robot was fulfilled. Instead of a cat-type robot, it was a typical 21st century toy, the computer. Last year I watched Barack Obama's inauguration speech on TV in Montreal. I then took a train to New York. All of a sudden, American immigration officers came onto the train and went through my passport. Unsatisfied with its contents, they threw it onto their desk and called me a liar. I just wanted to go to the Metropolitan Museum. The world is too small for the borders. I started looking for a new place somewhere on the planet. I could go everywhere. Tahiti or Morocco or Senegal or Buenos Aires or Madagascar or Amsterdam or Brazil or Tibet or... On the last day of 2009, my friend Steve made me a hamburger. It had been a while since I ate meat. It is still a bit gross, but at this moment I prefer sharing the craziness of the world with people I like. There were fireworks and we could see them from the northeast of London. It started to snow as he was responding to the fireworks. The earth is still a circle. The bugs are much smaller than us. Human waste smells bad, and I'm getting used to the nasty sound of the tube. It sounds like nails scratching on the blackboard. The world is not perfect, yet definitely an exciting place. Today it's my 10,101 days since birth date, and also Valentine's Day. I just had a chocolate that I received from my mom. I feel kinda weird. If I think about it, it's already 2010. Il y a longtemps, quand j'allais à l'école avec mes copains, on passait toute la nuit dans les parcs et on imaginait le futur. Maintenant, on est arrivé dans ce futur. Sans m'en rendre compte, je suis devenu un adulte.
Pero soy más o menos mayor de lo que imaginaba.
Soy demasiado distraído con las cosas nuevas y coloridas, y a veces me pongo bien pedo con mis cuates y mis amigos. Ni tengo ninguna idea de dónde estaré viviendo dentro de un año. Bueno, así es y ya. Solo estoy conociendo mis misterios, sentimientos y contradicciones al improvisar cada día en el instante más nuevo de la historia del mundo. Es como si hiciera una obra de arte contemporáneo, ¿no? Por eso dije que mañana por la mañana voy a preparar fresas y jitomate con crema y un chingo de chile y limón para ustedes.